Hello and welcome. I'm Barry Wimbold and this is Tinycast number 8. And it's about doing good things for other people today, because there are some very real health benefits when we get in touch with our compassionate and kind self. It also does something else for us, which we'll come to later. First of all, helping others feels good. You can maybe be smug about it, which is in itself, if we're honest, is quite a nice feeling sometimes. But if you're going to be more noble than that, it means that, as shown by the studies, acts of kindness are linked to an increased feeling of well-being. Helping others can also improve our support networks, and it occupies our mind and takes us away from our own problems. I was speaking to Terry Tucker on my full-length podcast recently. He's a 12-year cancer sufferer. It is certainly going to be terminal in the not very distant future. Yeah, he's one of the most upbeat guys I've met. And I asked him, how do you stay on top of it? And he said to me, well, I'm being treated on a research program, which is why I'm getting extra special treatment, because they're trying out a new drug that's apparently helping to keep me alive. But that means that I have to spend 1 week in 4 in hospital being treated, which isn't always a joyous experience, although I know it's doing me good. And I wake up feeling pretty gutty, pretty rough some days. And so I said, well, what do you do about that? He said, well, I'm in a hospital. It's not hard finding people who aren't very happy. I go and find somebody who's worse off than me, and I talk to them. I don't set out to cheer them up, but within 5 minutes, I've forgotten my own problems. And boy, do I have some really interesting and uplifting conversations with people. You can hear about Terry Tucker on the podcast on Get a Better Handle on Life elsewhere, and I'll put the link in the notes as well. But back to being kind and being generous, it's not just about having a faith which tells us we should do that. It's more about common sense, because it's one of the things that binds societies together. And you see this in times of duress and stress, and how people come together in the main. People come together and support each other. So kindness helps to create a sense of belonging. It reduces isolation. It helps to keep things in perspective, which is what Terry Tucker was talking about, I think. Many people don't realize this. And generally, it makes the world a happier place. An act of kindness often triggers kindness in somebody else, believe it or not. And the more you do for others, the more you do for yourself. And by the way, the psychological benefits are well established. The research shows that when you're kind to somebody, it can act as an antidote to isolation. It creates a sense of belonging. Of course, it reduces stress and brings a fresh perspective or fresh outlook on life. And it can also deepen friendships. But even apart from that, at an individual level, just for you or for me, if we're kind to somebody, helps strengthen our sense of identity and even boosts our self-esteem. Look around you as you go through your day and think about what you might be able to do for somebody else. And it's maybe a small gesture. It may be pay for somebody's coffee, or it might be taking on an extra task to lighten somebody else's burden, or calling up somebody you haven't spoken to for some time. Whatever it is, give it some thought. And remember, it benefits you as well as them. So, a nice gesture will do you good, and it helps make the world a nicer place. Because let's face it, when we leave the house in the morning, there's not a lot out there to cheer us up. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about listening to the news. So listen in. Oh, no, the day after tomorrow. It'll be, I guess, Tinycast number 10 or 11. One of those. Anyway, listen out for it. I'll be back then. I'll be back tomorrow, in fact. So have a great day. I'm all at 6s and 7s this morning, as you can hear. This is Barry Wimbold. This has been Tinycast. Look out for me on YouTube, on all the usual platforms. Do share. And by the way, if you have a question or a point, please send it in. Email me at info@barrywimbold.com, and I'll make a Tinycast out of it, out of my response. All the best. Have a great day.